Hi everyone, thanks for joining us and welcome to Screaming on the Inside, a UKAT podcast. I'm Lucia, your host for today and a member of the alumni team here at UKAT. Our guest today is Recovery Lighthouse Alumna Nina. Nina has just over 1 year sobriety and has been an active member of the recovery community in Brighton. She will be sharing with us her journey of growth from active addiction to graduating university with a master's degree. Thanks for listening. Hi everyone, thanks for joining us. We're here today with Nina, who is an alumna at Recovery Lighthouse. So Nina's just going to be sharing her story and her journey with us. So yeah, hi Nina, thanks for joining us today.
Hi Lucia, yeah, it's great to be here. I'm Nina. I was at Recovery Lighthouse in September of 2023.
Yeah, so you're just over a year now, aren't you, since you came in with us?
Yeah, I think I was 450 days a few days ago, which is kind of crazy. Yeah. So yeah, I guess it worked for me.
Oh, bless you. That's great, Nina. And so let's start off at the beginning. So what was it that brought you into Recovery Lighthouse? Did you find yourself wanting to find help? How did you end up coming to us to Recovery Lighthouse?
So it feels like ages ago now. I was the one who I said to my parents, I remember ringing my mum and just saying, I can't stop drinking, and I don't think I can stop on my own, medically or psychologically. I felt I just got so low with my drinking, which was over I would say 10 or so years from when I was sort of 14. And I'm 24 now, so it took me a good 10 years to kind of get to the point where I got. And I guess I always talk about I'd wake up in the morning, I'd always miss my alarms and whatever because I was so out of it I couldn't wake up. I remember waking up and it's that sort of moment of feeling deathly hungover and just awful. And I remember just thinking I just need to just ask for help because I don't know how to sort of control this anymore. Yeah. So it was kind of me that instigated it on my end. My parents didn't really know much about sort of what was available. I don't think they'd really ever thought about the eventuality that one of their kids would end up in the situation I was in, and I don't think they saw much of my sort of worst months towards the end of my drinking and using, because I wasn't living at home, I was living up in London. But yeah, so it was kind of me who got into it and was like, yeah, I was definitely ready. I don't think I knew that in my mind. I was like, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, if it doesn't work, maybe I'll just kill myself. You know, that classic sort of recovery thing. Yeah.
So you mentioned, Nina, that you had issues surrounding alcohol since 14. So when you were at that age, very young, how did you manage to get hold of alcohol at that age?
I seem to remember I stole quite a lot from my parents, and I had old milk cartons that we weren't using, and I would just sort of fill it up with wine or cider or beer, whatever was lying around.
Whatever you could get your hands on.
Yeah, it was all mixed up in there in a little fishbowl, and I don't think I really knew why I was doing it. I thought it was cool. I wanted to feel something different, sort of those classic ones. And then I was doing drugs as well from that age. So I bought MDMA from people at school, and then they put me onto dealers. And then it was every weekend was just, yeah.
So were you hanging around with the wrong crowd at school then, would you say?
I don't know. I was very sort of outwardly, externally, when I was a sort of young teenager at secondary school, I was very sort of pretty and popular, but I was really not happy. I was really unhappy, and a lot of my sort of angst and anxiety and stuff came out of like coming out, because I came out at 14 and it was chaotic, to be honest. It was, and in my brain I internalized so much of what people thought of me. I was just crippled with people pleasing, and I still am. I've literally had this week another instance of like, oh my god, you need to say what you need and you need to be clear, and boundaries still something I really struggle with. But yeah, I think it was me pushing it probably even more than anyone else that I knew. They weren't like, you know, your classic, the people I hung around with were like, yeah, they had, you know, siblings that in prison, and one of the older siblings was dealing to us.
But you were initiating, like, you wouldn't say that you were being influenced by others?
I don't think I would have allowed anyone to influence me. I was so hot-headed. I was so angry with the world. I was at a Catholic school, like a Catholic comprehensive. It was massive and it was just terrible. I hated it. I absolutely hated it. So then I found these new friends in sort of year 9, and then I wasn't so pretty and popular. I was kind of a lesbian and very like goth. I
was a goth too.
Oh my god. It's I remember the fishnet tights, DMs, and just not wearing much of a lot in very cold weather. So I kind of did a full 360 from being sort of a blonde, straight, you know, good grades.
I think we go through that little rebellious stage, don't we, where we're just like, you know what, F you.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know, it's weird. I think about that stage of my life a lot, and people around me were obviously behaving like that because I was in a friendship group where people were also doing drugs and stuff. But the extent of my lying and the lengths that I took things seemed to just be that little bit further than everyone else. I used to climb out my window and no one would know where I was. And that was purely because I just wanted to get high. Like, I just loved it so much. It wasn't the people, it wasn't the parties, it was the drugs.
The high, chasing the escapism in a way, isn't it? You know, because life can get, especially as a teenager, and especially, you know, for yourself being gay and having to deal with all that as well, you know, it's a lot for a young person to deal with. So, you know, you've been through a lot, Nina, and, you know, at that age as well, it's already hard. You know, everyone goes through their own thing, so plus the added pressure of everything in a Catholic school, you know, so it's, you know, a lot of pressure on you. And so how long were you in that place of, has it always been since 14 you've struggled consistently? Have you had like moments where you've been, you know, sober, or, you know, had relapses on and off? Or would you say like from 14 to when you came to seek help, have you been struggling really badly? Or
I would say, like, as with a lot of people I've heard in meetings, it started in a place where it was still quite like the drinking and the drugs were still very much, they had a sheen on them. And I think that lasted for a while. I remember when I was doing my GCSEs, I said to my girlfriend at the time, I was like, we can't keep doing ecstasy every weekend. Like, I'm just going to fail. And at that time, I was very, very far away from giving up everything in life for drugs. I was still it was still years before that would be the case for me. So I actually did give up drugs in general for a few years until I got to uni, actually. But then my drinking had taken off because in my mind, I differentiated the two, which, you know, in hindsight is quite funny. Because the way I thought about it was like, well, I'm not going to do drugs, but like I still have my alcohol. I can make it work, you know. But I don't think my life was always a struggle. Like, I really loved college. I left my Catholic school. I went to college. There was a lot of parties. I met so many new people. People were just more open-minded. Like, literally had so much sex. It was great. And, you know, it got better. And then uni happened. I went all the way to Manchester, basically because it's a party town, Manchester. And then I was introduced to ketamine, and that completely took over my life within about 6 months I was a daily user of ketamine, and that was a very, very quick downward spiral because of I think the money aspect, because it was really expensive for a student. It just completely isolated me. I wasn't seeing anyone, I wasn't eating, and that was pretty terrible. So by my second year, the Christmas of my second year of university, I had gone to, well, it was called Pavilions then, but it's changed, Grow Live now. Because I had to tell my parents, I was like, I've spent all my money on drugs. I owe Santander so much money.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just don't know what to do with this. It was looking like I might drop out, or like I'd try and complete my university at home back in Brighton. And then COVID hit, so everyone was at home anyway. So kind of good in a way. I managed to kick it because all the dealers were getting arrested because of COVID, because they were the only ones driving around. And I did manage to kick the ketamine, but then in COVID, my family and I just drank so much, just drank every night, and we normalized it within our family, and that was the way we were coping. And that's when my drinking really took off again.
I think the lockdown as well, affected people massively, especially the isolation of it. And, people were also different situations at home. It wasn't all stay at home and everyone's home life was good. There was a lot of people struggling back at home. So did your parents realize at the time that you were struggling around alcohol, or did they think that it was just drugs that you had an issue with?
I don't really know what they thought. I honestly just think they didn't know enough about it. And if I said I was fine with alcohol, that worked for them, because they drank a lot. They drink less now, but they drank a lot then. And it was very much a family activity. It was nice. I still remember it fondly, in the way that we would be out in the garden chatting, we'd get pissed and emotional and sort of talk about things that from years ago. And it was nice. I had a good time, but I just remember going through box wine after box wine and trying to get rid of our recycling, me and my mum.
To stop.
Yeah.
I went to stop, you just carry on.
Yeah.
Did you ever carry on till you were blackout? Did it get to that point, or?
I think I was probably blackout by the time I'd gone to bed. I would always have a fuzzy head in terms of the memory in the morning. But those blackouts, if they were nowhere near what they were later. So yeah, lockdown, finish and whatever. And I did complete my university in Manchester, managed to. But by that point, I was drinking every day. And that was more socially acceptable. So I got away with it for longer. People still kind of knew. People were like, why do you need wine on a Sunday night? Why do you need it on a Monday? But I was happier, and it was a slower descent into the hellish madness. So yeah, I did finish uni, and then at some point during my third year of uni, I have sort of a chronic pain, endometriosis, like period pain condition that was getting worse because it exponentially gets worse. And I was introduced to cocodamol because I went to A&E a few times, and they didn't really tell me what it was when they gave it to me, and I didn't really have any knowledge about opiate painkillers. I knew about Oxy, I knew about like how bad that was in America, but I didn't realize that you get physically addicted to opiates so quickly. I didn't know that. And I took them and I liked them. They were okay. And then that started a whole thing of drinking and opiates. And I was getting prescribed like 100 pills a month of very strong opiates from the doctor.
Yeah.
And I didn't even have to have an appointment to get them. I just kind of got them automatically. And I don't know how that happened. I don't know if it was maybe me. Maybe I asked for them. I don't remember. But I don't think I did. And then it was the two together that caused like blackouts. I would fall over and not feel it because I was on so many painkillers, and that was just getting worse and worse. And the thing with the opiates, the most awful thing was, if I don't get these tonight or before tonight, then I'm going to be in withdrawal tomorrow and I can't get to work.
Yeah.
So that, and the drinking just got worse. And then I think it was another 2 years of those every day until I eventually in 2023 came to the Lighthouse.
Yeah. And did the doctor, did you ever have checkups with the doctor, or
No,
you didn't check on, how you were managing the pain and the effect of the painkillers on you?
No, I didn't have any of that. I guess probably COVID made it even worse. I don't know. But by the time I was taking them, COVID was pretty much over. It was 2022, late 2022. So it was past the level of lockdowns.
Yeah. Things
So
are opening up again and everything.
yeah. I mean, it was still a bit weird, but yeah, I don't know how I was allowed to go on with the amount of painkillers I was being given. And I was just requesting them every month on the 1st of every month, and they would just send it over, just get 100 pills, like
without questioning.
No, I didn't have an appointment with the doctor until I had one with a psychiatrist when I came into the Lighthouse. It was like,
it's really scary, isn't it?
Yeah. Not to blame anyone else, because it was me that took them outrageously. But yeah, not great now that I look back on it. To give me that. Yeah.
And what was the moment, Nina, that you're in such a rock bottom place? What triggered you wanting to find help? What was that moment like for you?
I don't know if there was a specific moment that I can remember, other than calling my mum and saying I need help. But before that, I'd had so many nights of just crying or not being able to feel anything. It's the physical withdrawals, because I started drinking more and more, were horrible. The sweats, like the shaking immediately as soon as I woke up, it was just so horrible. Like everything together, I was so alone. I felt so alone. I barely spoke to anyone. I didn't get out of bed really. And I was a student again at that time. I was doing my master's. So I literally went out the house 2 days a week to my part-time job in Chelsea, and I don't know how I got through that. They must have known. Like, I was in an office sitting next to people, and I just know on my face there was just a sheen of sweat and just shaking as I'm typing on my computer. I don't know. But it was just many nights of like calling the AA helpline, completely blackout, not remembering doing it in the morning. Like anyone that would listen to me when I got to that stage of drunk where I could actually say,
crying for help.
Yeah. And then completely being embarrassed about it in the morning and trying to pretend everything's fine. But I had a flatmate when I was in London, and she's been my best friend for years actually. And we finally moved in together that year, and then it was a complete train wreck because of me, obviously, because I was just completely all over the place. And she sat me down in the garden, and she was like, "You just seem to be drinking all the time. Like, what's going on?" And I finally was like, "Yeah, I don't know what to do. I think I need a detox or something, because I've got all these symptoms of withdrawal, and I don't really know enough about it." And she was saying, "Okay, yeah, you don't have to stop drinking with me. You can still hang out with me. I just feel like I never see you because you never come out your room, and I don't want to sort of barge in." And that meant a lot to me, to be able to be honest about it without someone saying, "Oh, well, you have to change it right now."
Yeah, she just wants you to know that she's there for you.
Yeah.
So you were in the same house but living complete separate lives.
Yeah, well, we were all doing master's degrees, and some people had more hours than others, and I had almost none because I was doing a literature degree. And I didn't really work very much for it anyway, if I'm completely honest with you. So yeah, it was very much like HMO in central London, well, not central, Tower Hamlets. So yeah, yeah, I just didn't see anyone in the like last 6 months of my drinking, whereas I've been really social. I just lost all my like confidence. I remember going to seminars and I'd be asked to read, and something that had never happened to me before, it's like I just couldn't speak. I couldn't get the words out. I didn't know why. My hands would start shaking. Yeah, but it was only a room of like 7 women. Like I would have been fine all throughout my life, and that really scared me. And kind of forced in my internalized state. I was like, well, I just can't go to seminars anymore, so I stopped going to uni as well. So yeah, it was kind of the repeated Groundhog Day of waking up and knowing that I'd been really messy and crying. And I remember saying to myself, like, on a video on my phone, like, when you stop, or if you stop, remember this and what this is like for you.
Remember that feeling.
Yeah. And yeah, then I did stop, which I didn't think was really possible. So yeah, that was kind of it.
Bless you, Nina. So coming from that moment where you spoke with your friend, how did you then mention that you were working with CGL? Did you go into treatment before Recovery Lighthouse? Was that your first time coming into treatment?
I'd never been in residential treatment before. I'd had some addiction counselling, but it was kind of 6 weeks and that was it. So I didn't really know what was around. I was told that like a detox from my local drug and alcohol service that was going to be another like 4 to 5 months, and I said to my mum, I was like, I think I'm going to die before then, one way or another.
That long?
Yeah, I just couldn't. I couldn't see. Yeah, so I believe by the August of that year, we'd sort of started talking with you guys on the phone and talking about like what you could offer and how quickly I could be admitted. And then it was the 31st of August when I was admitted to Recovery Lighthouse. But yeah, it was a bit crazy.
What was that like? How were you feeling?
I think I just felt like a ghost, like a shell by the time I actually got there. I was just so defeated and just sick and tired. So I think I just didn't really care. Like my self-worth was so low that I was like, I literally don't care. It could be like a crazy mental asylum.
Could be awful.
I don't care. Yeah. But yeah, I didn't know what to do. So yeah, I just felt empty. I felt nothing really, and a bit nervous maybe, I think, under it all.
What was it like on the day that you got there? Once you stepped in, how was that for you?
It's okay. I remember I was taken with my parents into like an office, and then one of the, I think it was the head support workers, she was just asking me loads of questions about my drinking, about my drug use. And my parents didn't know about my drug use. So she was like, okay, well, you want anything else? And I was like, well, yes, but I don't want my parents to hear about it. So I just knew it would shock them, I think. So they kind of left. Then I was just completely honest, because I was like, this is my last chance, I think. Otherwise I don't know like where else I can go after this. So it was okay. It was kind of the surrender that I needed. It was just, this is everything, now can you help, kind of thing. So it was fine. This hazy memory, because I'm sure I was in
And what was it like, coming in and meeting different people? You said that you had addiction counselling, but were you ever in a group setting with other addicts? Have you ever been in that kind of environment before? I
think I'd done maybe 2 SMART meetings when I was trying to get off ketamine, but I never did it properly. And I didn't really know anything about like 12-step meetings. I hadn't really been pushed towards them for one reason or another. Yeah, it was quite a new experience for me. I remember it was pissing down with rain and everyone was smoking out the back. Classic. And yeah, I went outside to have a vape, and I met my friend Kirsty, who gave me a hug and said, it's going to be all right. You'll be all right. Because I'm sure I look like death. And we're still friends today. She's lovely. So it was really nice. I think I felt really like liberated by the fact that I could be like, oh yeah, I did this really strange thing, and like 5 other people would say, yeah, I've done that. That's super weird. And just coming out of that, like that internal hatred and like, I am literally the craziest person, but also the best person ever, kind of crazy thinking, you know, I'm the only one that knows what this is like, you know.
It must have been a massive relief to be able to, you know, get things off your chest that you've held in for so long.
Yeah, I think it was, and just like being in sort of group therapy, like it was a bit wacky, to be honest, especially when there were like 12 people, which was the max I think that they had at the lighthouse, and just everyone just saying their crazy thoughts. It was almost like, I think I remember describing it as it's a bit like being back at school. Like everything was regimented. You know, we had our timetable on the board, and if one of the boxes wasn't filled, everyone was like, oh my god, what is that? Like an empty box, you know, 15 minutes. So it kind of felt like a bit like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest kind of vibe, back at school, but it's exactly what I needed, because I think I'd forgotten how to be a person. How to actually like live life.
Have that structure, have that routine, set meals through the day, tidying up, washing up, doing everyday things, because that all goes to the wayside, you know, when you're in full addiction. You know, sometimes people don't even wash themselves because they're in such a dark place, you know. So what was that like for you, meeting all those people? Was it because you've been isolating for so long? Were you scared at first, or did you straight away kind of feel, you know, comfortable and were ready just to kind of have that connection, have that support?
So my detox lasted quite a while. It lasted 10 days. And I was on Librium and Subutex. So, but apparently I don't remember that much after my first, I think they got me in that afternoon to do my first meds round. And after that, I actually don't remember too much. So I think I was told that I went to everything. I went to all the therapy sessions and like and the everything. I didn't go to the meetings because I wasn't allowed out yet. But I don't remember any of it. Apparently I'd be sitting there, I'd be fine, I'd say something, and then my head would go back and my eyes would roll back in my head, and then I'd go. So I don't actually remember too much about the first bits, but I must have been really keen to like get started, because I did go to everything. I didn't, and a lot of people don't, because detox is rough, but I just was very stubborn with the fact that I wanted to get on with it.
Ready to beat this thing. You were ready to get in there and face it all and get stuck in and engage in what you needed to do. You're on a mission, Nina.
Yes. Just stubborn, I think.
And so you stayed for 28 days. And what was that like then on the day that you were, you know, the day that you knew that you were due to leave? How were you feeling? Was it a bit, you know, obviously it's always nerve-wracking being in such an intense environment with people for that amount of time. Were you anxious to get out? Were you excited? Was it mixed emotions?
I think I was ready to go by the time I left, but I needed that much time. So I think a big thing for me on leaving was seeing the new people come in just before I was going, and how broken they looked. Especially, I remember just being really shocked by the alcohol withdrawals. They just were the most shocking to me, just because they're so visible, I guess. So I think I felt, okay, I'm past that now. I'm ready to see if I can do this on my own. But I think I didn't have a job to go back to. I didn't have a house to go back to. I had my parents. I moved back in with my parents. I'd lost my London flat share. I'd given it up. So I was kind of going back to square one in terms of my life, how I saw it. I had thought in denial, obviously, that I would move to London and that would be it. I'd be gone. I was, 23 now. I could do life. So yeah, I think I was worried that I'd be a lot lonely and that I wouldn't have any friends and that it would just be me and my parents would be drinking and I'd feel sad about that. So I think that was really worrying. I remember talking a lot with my therapist about my parents drinking because I was worried that they might just carry on as soon as I got back, which they didn't. They did do, I think, 2 weeks without drinking in the house, which for them, big moves, and I really appreciated that. Yeah, by the time I left, it was kind of a mixture of everything, really, just all that emotion, but also kind of I went with the knowledge that I would probably do some volunteering, and I wanted again to do everything now. I wanted to, get all my meetings sorted, do everything. And yeah, I literally walked into a job a month later at the place I volunteered at, and then was managing full time and trying to do 90 meetings in 90 days. So I kind of kept busy.
Yeah.
Like really fucking busy, too busy. So yeah.
Do you think that it was a bit too much too soon for you, or were you able, was that a good balance for you? Did that work for you at that time?
Yeah, I think it worked at the time. Now that I look back on me immediately out of the lighthouse, I think I was still very sick in a lot of ways. I've had still very low self-worth.
Yeah.
I was still very much, oh my God, I've done terrible things. I need to atone for these, living amends, blah, 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 which I don't feel so much now. I think that was quite overboard of me to think like that because a lot of things are true at the same time. But I think, I needed to feel like I was living life, like I was seeing people all the time. I worked in a cafe. I managed a cafe of volunteers in Brighton, and it was so intense. Worked 6 days a week, was trying to make money for this charity.
Yeah.
I met so many people. I met like almost too much. When I left that job in August this year, I was like, I literally never want to lay eyes on another gay person ever because they were all just, it was a queer charity. So yeah, I think it was like the contrast I needed from my life before.
Yeah.
So it kind of worked out.
And did that help bring your confidence back then, Nina, doing the volunteering, meeting so many people?
Yeah, I think in some ways, yes. In some ways, no. Like managing volunteers was really, really hard, especially because it was a lot of people that were like me in the sense that they were newly sober, that were volunteering, and then I was managing them. So it was kind of like really rewarding in a lot of ways, but I was sort of like, I don't know what to do with these people. They're coming to me saying like, oh, what do you think I should do about this? Like, it's like, oh my God, I don't know. So I think it was like
learning on the job.
Bit of both. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's definitely what I needed. It was kind of one of those things that you think back and you're like, oh, it kind of worked out the way that it should have done. But yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy.
It sounds like a lot of hard work.
Yes.
Really hard work.
Yes.
I know I worked in a coffee shop, but I did that for 7 years, and it's really, really like people don't understand.
It's exhausting.
It's so draining, and then people don't like their coffee. They like it. They're very, very like fussy with their coffee. If you get their coffee wrong, they're not happy bunny.
Yeah, I mean, I literally still work in a cafe now, and someone asked me for an iced mocha with no ice. It's like, what do you mean? What do you mean? People are so annoying.
Cold milk with a bit of chocolate.
It doesn't blend properly because you need to heat it.
I know.
I try to explain this, people don't listen.
Don't. They're like they've got their mind made up and that's it. Like we've got to do it. I've had the same like really crazy random requests from people. I'm just like, okay, there you go.
7 years, man, that's a long time.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Please God, never again, honestly.
Yeah.
So how did you get on with the 1990 being, having that volunteering job? How did you get filling in meetings as well into your day?
So I think I did like maybe 85 out of 90. by the time it got to Christmas, that was my 3 months, I think. And then I think I was like, yeah, I need to do every other day. This is way too much. But you know, I used AA and CA for what they were, and they were great for that time, especially when it was my first day out, the first week out. I really relied on them in the evening, especially because that was my sort of drinking time. And Brighton's got so many as well.
It's got a huge community down there. Yeah, because it's such an adjustment, isn't it, coming from such an intense place to then going back home and you're on your own. So, you know, would you say to people that it's vital to keep that going, keep that meetings going, keep that support going?
Yeah, I'd say I would definitely say, like, in your first month out, just rely on them as much as you need. I mean, I was told to try and do 90 and 90. I took that too literally because I was knackered, and I probably could have done without them. I think that's a tendency, especially with me, of taking things literally, and I just wanted it to work. I was like, I will take as much of this as possible so that it works and I stay sober, until I kind of learned to trust myself a bit more and think, you know, I'm not gonna, you know, die if I don't do a meeting a day. I'll be okay. Like, I'm not gonna relapse, you know, it's okay. So I would say, you know, listen to yourself as well. Don't just do 90 and 90 because you're told to. Do what works for you, you know?
Yeah, I think that's a good advice there, Nina, because everyone is different as well. And, you know, what works for one person doesn't work for everyone. So like you said, it's just figuring out what balance works for you, you know, figuring out who you are now as well. Like you said, you came out and it's like a rebirth, you know, you're starting from scratch, from zero, and, you know, you're rebuilding yourself, you're rebuilding your life. So that's good advice for people to hear, is that, you know, just figure things out for you and find that balance that works for you and your journey.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
What was Christmas like? What was your first Christmas like coming out of being in recovery now on the other side? I mean, did you find it hard, or because, you know, alcohol, especially at Christmas, New Year's, you just can't escape it. It's everywhere in the supermarkets. It's all over the TV, social events, and live.
I don't know. The adverts for me and the supermarket stuff hasn't actually been too much of a problem, really. I think I always had that very steadfast belief in my brain of this doesn't work. This is not about me anymore. Like, this is not my life anymore. It can't be. Alcohol can't be. Whether you're okay with it or not isn't really relevant. You know, you just can't. And that really just complete dogged determination. I think I'm just really stubborn. I just was like, no, I'm not relapsing for Christmas. But I don't think I really enjoyed it. It was my brother, who's 2 years older than me. He was in Australia. So it was just me and my parents. And it was weird. But I think a lot of that time was weird. A lot of it was just me kind of feeling a bit like I was in a cloud and not really knowing what I was doing. So yeah, it was just kind of another day, really. And I think I was trying to think about this on my way home. I think I did a CA on the Christmas Eve, and then I didn't do one on Christmas Day, and I did one on Boxing Day. And then I was working all through the Christmas period as well. So I kept really busy. I just kept my head down, I think was really what I did. So yeah, I don't think I was too preoccupied with drinking.
Yeah, you had that routine in your set in your mind that you're working these days, you've got meetings on these days. So do you think it's important for people to have a plan, have a routine or a schedule set in place for those triggering times?
Yeah, I think to be honest, I think it's always good to have a plan, like at all times of the year. Like, I think because I was so nervous about relapsing, I knew exactly what I was going to be doing, when I was going to be doing it, just almost off the dome. I didn't even need to put it in a calendar. And I knew that I always found it difficult not being able to leave at Christmas because there's no buses, there's nothing going on. But I did know that there are always AA stuff AA things going on Christmas Day. I know because I should probably volunteer at one this year, but I didn't do that. I didn't need that in the end, but I knew it was there just in case I couldn't deal with my parents anymore. And they did drink, and it was okay. It was fine. It wasn't enjoyable, but it was fine, you know.
Yeah, you got through it.
For sure.
Well done, Nina. And how, after, you know, you're just a year and a few months, isn't it, since you came into treatment, where are you now in life? How are you feeling now about your recovery and how far you've come?
I think a year was a massive one, and was really reflective, and I thought a lot about where I was the year before and what I had expected would happen, and I think I expected I would never get to a year. I think that is what a lot of people I've heard say. I had a big sort of like meal with a lot of my friends that I'd met at my job, and also old friends like the one I lived with, and that was really, really a massive deal for me. And they got me cards and presents and stuff, and it felt like a really big achievement. But other than that, sobriety doesn't really rule my life now. I have days where I kind of forget, but it's never too far, you know. I'm always kind of on a bit of a guard. I'm still 24 and I'm so tired of being young. That's the thing at the moment. I'm tired of having shitty jobs and not knowing what I want to do with my life. But I'm also painfully aware that is a way nicer problem to have than the problems I had last year.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I always kind of have a bit of gratitude in the back of my mind as well, which I think most people in recovery do. I think, you know, you've been to such a terrible place, that any sort of problem now, I'm like, well, you know, even if this happened, it wouldn't be as bad as the end of my drinking. So I know it's kind of okay.
Yeah. In a bit more perspective.
Yeah. Sure.
I think that's just how we are naturally, humans, isn't it? I think we're just always, it's easier for us to look at the negative in situations, you know, and beat ourselves up. But when we actually look at what we've been through and where we are now, you know, I think it should be more kinder to ourselves. I think being kind to yourself and self-love, you know, is something that we really all need to work on.
Sure.
Right?
Yes. Yeah. It's really hard. It
really is, you know, and it's a work in progress, Nina. And, you know, as long as we're aware of it and we just check in with ourselves, you know, and say, look, stop it, have a look at what you've done, have a look at where you are now and, you know, how far you've come. And, you know, just be kind to yourself because, you know, we've gone through so much in life, you know, it's easy for us to kind of forget it, but, you know, and beat ourselves up. But I think, you know, self-love, self-care and just being kind to ourselves, I think we really just need to work on it. So how did you get on with your degree then, Nina? I know that you've completed it, am I right?
I have, yes.
Yeah.
I did. I deferred the final bit until it was due September of this year, and I handed in my dissertation, 15,000 words. And yeah, I did get a 2-1 in the end. So I did finally get my master's. So yeah, thank God, because otherwise I would have wasted £12,000. I think my parents were pleased I finally did go through with it, and I actually did get it. So yeah, that was positive as well. And that was around the time of my year as well that I was handing that in. So that was a crazy week or so. Yeah.
I bet. And what was that like for you, like handing that in? Did you but it was really mixed emotions for you, you know, like you're relieved and also like, I don't know, it's kind of like the end of a era as well, you know, like you reached that 1 year point and also you had, you know, struggles doing, you know, while you were doing the degree. So what was that like?
I was like, I am never ever studying again. Because I'm convinced I did my master's just because I wanted to carry on drinking, and it was an easy way of doing that. So I don't think I did it for the love of the subject, unfortunately. Sorry, English lit. But yeah, I don't know. I think, yeah, I was just pleased it was over. I was disappointed because I didn't actually get to go to a graduation, because I should have gone last year and I didn't have a place this year. So I didn't have an emotional graduation moment. But I think yeah, I was just pleased it was over, and I was like, that's really solidified in my mind that I never want to do a desk job where I have to sit in front of a computer. So I kind of knew, it kind of gave me more about what I wanted to do in life as well. So I kind of knew a bit of where, I don't know, I still don't know what I'm going to do, but still, yeah, it was crazy. It was good.
Oh, amazing though. Well done. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Nina. You've done so well.
Thank you so much.
And what would, for the guys listening, what would your advice, your final bit of advice be, or your final message? What would you like to say to anyone listening?
Oh God, that's hard. Yeah, however sort of low you've been, however much you think you've done wrong, try not to beat yourself up about it, because people do that enough. That aren't addicts. They will tell you exactly what you did wrong to them, and you'll have to listen to that. So I'd say don't give yourself more of it, because I definitely did, and it doesn't help anyone, least of all you. So yeah, I think that would be my sentiments to pass on. I don't feel like I have much wisdom, but there we go.
Forgive yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, that's amazing, Nina. And just thank you so much for joining us today and being so open about everything, and just sharing everything with us. It's just been so great. So thank you so much, Nina, and thank you everyone for listening.
Yeah, thanks for listening, guys. Good
Take
luck.
care. You've been listening to Screaming on the Inside, a UKAT podcast. Thanks again for joining us, and a huge thank you to Nina for sharing her inspiring story with us today. As always, you can find further support links and information below and on the UKAT website. Go to www.ukat.co.uk. Take care.